Thomas tipsar.
Hello my friends. Today we're going to have a look at the M28 dive computer from Poseidon and see all the features it has in the latest version. I am now in July of 2022 and now they have taken away the GPS because it never really worked. Anyway, I have just started up my 7 and connected it to the 7 so you can see those features as well. This is just the startup screen, the dive screen. If you push both buttons, you get to the menus. You have the settings, which are your basic settings, power on, off, or reboot, connecting with Wi-Fi, the time when it should dim out, and what kind of values the dim screen should have, when it turns off, setting the time and date. This is screen rotation, if you got it left or if you got it right, on the left or right arm. I have it on my right arm, so I have this rotation and then the buttons are over here. And then you have all the units. I am metric because I am in Sweden, so I use all of them. And you can preset it like a default on the bottom of the menu. Checking the apps, you also have a system settings. There it shows you what's happening in the computer right now. It shows you the time, if the Wi-Fi is on, if the CAN is on, and all you have, all the information that's happening, how much battery it uses, the temperature, all of those things. I'm just scrolling through it so you can see. That's the firmware, the latest firmware you can download on the home page. These are the stuff that's connected to the system. You have the 7, the HUD, the battery, and the M28. And the EN codes, I don't know why. It doesn't really matter for you as a diver. You can also edit the 7 settings through here. You can set the SP high or low. The diluent fracture, if you're using helium, and the oxygen in the oxygen tank. If you want to use it as a deco machine or not, like say, if you have a technical training and you have this on this machine, you can use it with deco. Showing the TTS, and you can set pretty much everything that you could set or can set in your RB config. You can set from this menu. RMV and the loop volume, whatever, you have all over here. You can test the HUD, and if I use that, I can flash with the red light. You cannot see it, but it's actually flashing now. I can flash the green light. Maybe you can hear the vibrator. Just like that, you can test if it works. It's nice. You have the force firmware. If you have a firmware downloaded to the M28, you can push that into a machine and all these different parts, which is kind of handy, because you don't have to update all separately. Moving through the apps, you have the land app, and that is showing you what time it is, the millibars, what kind of weather it has. Time to fly. I am actually allowed to fly now. That was a long time ago, but it's good. And so on. A stopwatch down here, because the army wants a stopwatch. Poseidon is doing a lot for the army. The dive is what we just saw. We're kind of familiar with this one. We have all the information you need during the dive. You can scroll through this screen here showing my set points, the battery, the temperature. I'm now indoors, so one of the 2 compasses, this tilted one, the one that shows the heading. I don't know why you need 2, you can pretty much use one. And then you have the nitrogen and the helium loading in your tissues, descent ascent rate, the PPO2 in the loop, the 2 needles as you have here, and that is what I'm breathing in my diluent, and this is the pressure in the diluent and the O2, and also how many liters that is, because you have set the sizes of the tanks in your settings, so it knows exactly how much. And then you can change its set points. In the dive config, you can see you have the 702 tank, you have the diluent tank right there, and then you can add bailout gases. Tons of them, more than you will ever need, I guess. I have an air tank here, which I use when I use the machine with only air, but you can have all different kind of helium mixtures and deco mixtures or bailout mixtures added in here, and use it in the next one, which is called we'll take the log first. This is the dive log, and it shows the last dive like this. So it shows a depth curve, you have the PPO2, you have the pressure in your diluent and in your O2, and you have the temperature. This is more accessible in the Reef app, so download that, connect the M28 to your mobile phone, and you can download much more information that you can access here. Here you can see if you have an alarm somewhere, but you cannot see what the alarm means. I can also see here that the temperature was 8.5 degrees centigrade, but it looks like it was warmer here and then colder and then warmer, and I cannot access any of this information in this M28. I have to use the Reef to scroll through and to point out different points on the dive and get more information about that. You can use it, and I do sometimes, as just an OC machine because I am teaching, so sometimes I connect this and I put a plug here and I use this as an OC because maybe in the afternoon I will do a CC dive. So I choose the M28 for all my dives, and it keeps track of all my nitrogen loadings independently of what machine I'm using. Anyway, moving on, that's the log. Then you have the planner. The planner is a quick plan to make an idea of what a dive should look like, or what you need for a dive maybe. I have planned a simple 60 meters, 20 minutes dive. And that gives me the TTS, that gives me the runtime, it gives me the PPO2. And I can add different bailout gases in the dive config, and it will use those during the deco and show me where to switch the gases and so on. It's kind of handy to have on the dive spot to see what the next dive could look like or so. But there are better alternatives for logging or planning a dive. For instance, you can use the Reef app from Poseidon instead of sitting on the dive spot and using this. But it's not bad. You can have the bail. If I choose to bail out on this one, for instance, I get a different setting here. And then it shows me that there's 20 minutes on 60 meters. All of a sudden it's a 60-minute TTS going up to the surface. The runtime. And then you have the PPO2. This is the bailout using air because that's what I have activated now. But if you choose different gases, it will choose those. In the picture mode, I have a picture of me and my family. You can have a picture of a wreck. You can have a picture of whatever. You connect this to the Wi-Fi and you surf into the M28. I don't have to describe everything now, and then you can download pictures into the M28. You can have a dive plan, a runtime plan, whatever, and you can have pictures, maps of the wreck. Sometimes when I teach, I use one picture for each dive, and we will do exercises on those dives, which is quite handy because then I can say, this is dive number 2, we're going to go this and this and this. And then you can always return to the first picture, which could then be a runtime or something. I think that's all now, because with this firmware, they have deleted the GPS. There is no more GPS in this. Suddenly it disappeared. I hope you stay safe. I hope you dive a lot, because At least now it's warm and nice in Sweden. It is summertime and the water is pretty warm. Like you could see, it was 8 degrees, and that's really nice. So don't be a stranger to this channel and subscribe. And hope to see you next time.
Thomas tipsar.